So I think I am online again. I can hear myself as well, and I want to wish you again a nice Saturday. Hello, welcome everyone to another Saturday live stream. I'm Oliver, and yeah, you can already see that I have a whole bunch of insects here, which I caught a few days ago together with my students. And I just thought I'm going to try something different today. I moved my stereo microscope over now right here in front of me. And I would like to not only look at a few insects with you under the stereo microscope, because this was also a request that I got some weeks ago to do a little bit more stereo microscopy. But I also would like to, well, do something quite cruel. I want to rip out the wings of those insects and make a permanent mounted slide of those. So this is a little bit the how do you say, the contents of this live stream. And I have to tell you, I'm a little bit worried about this live stream because this is going to be a little bit of a very delicate thing, and I'm not sure if in the context of yeah, approximately 1 hour and a few minutes, I'm able to do this properly. So it's probably going to be a little bit sloppy and messy, but we're going to see how far we're able to get it. As always, I want to send a greetings all around the world. Usually takes a couple of minutes for people to join in. So I'm just going to skip the introduction, and I would like to simply also invite you to post questions and comments into the chat, and then I will try to also answer them. So, and if you write at Microbehunter in the front, then it's easy for me to actually find those comments that are relevant. Okay, so first of all, a little bit background. Unfortunately, I don't have any videos to show that to you, but last Thursday, so a few days ago, I went out with my students and with the help of an entomologist who is an insect specialist who has been assisting us for many years now. We went out into the school garden and we caught some insects. Here they are. A couple of hundred insects, not as many as we had in the previous years. The reason being that it was kind of windy a little bit, and those insects, with the help of an identification books, and with online help, and with the help of our specialist who basically assisted us, the students were able to identify most of these insects. Now, basically, I have to tell you, unfortunately, I did not write down what they actually are. But we have nice identification books in school, and yeah, pretty thick ones, which helped us identify sometimes quite accurately what these insects actually are. Yeah. So, and this is a little bit the thing here. Just want to casually, maybe for about 20 minutes or half an hour, explore those insects and look at them. And then I would like to also make some permanent mounted slides. Okay, so very briefly, when we what did we do? What did we actually do? Well, actually, we caught insects using an insect net, huge one, like, I don't know, this size, and we simply swept through the high grass. So in the school garden, we have an area of high grass. It was a little bit windy. It was quite warm, but a little bit windy. And for this reason, yeah, there were not quite as many insects as in the previous years, but still enough. We swept them, and then we used a substance called ether acetate, which is a solvent which smells a little bit like vinegar. And we added a few drops of this substance to a container, and basically the insects inhaled those, and yeah, we had to kill the insects, right? But essentially, this is a necessary, otherwise you were not able to identify them. Now, some of the students had some worries at the beginning. They did not really feel like killing those insects, but then I told them that essentially when you drive a car, and you then basically your whole window is going to be full of insects, and yeah, and we have to do that in order to essentially also do a little bit of a biodiversity assessment. Yeah, so that's basically, yeah. If some of you are able to identify or able to see what they actually are, please be welcome to actually mention those. What I would like to do, however, a little bit is a very, very, very basic biology. I want to explain to you what's the difference between a bug and a beetle, because that's also something that I'm able to. I mean, I know that much about insects. And so, for example, over here, this one here is where are they? Yeah, this one here. Many of you know this one already. It's a beetle. And one of the things that many people don't know, unfortunately, it's a little bit dark here. Maybe I turn up the light a little bit here. Yeah, is that beetles like this actually have two pairs of wings, right? And this is actually differentiates them from the bugs. So what we have over here is I'm just using now a needle to kind of point at this colored part here on the outside. Yeah, that's the first pair of wings. So it's the one with the black dots, red and black dots. Yeah. Uh, the ether acetates, it's a liquid form. We're using liquid ether acetate. It's in and we got that from a shop that basically sells it to entomologists, so basically insect specialists. And basically it's the front pair of wings, and when we lift it up, and that's going to be then a little bit the difficult part, we're going to see the second pair of wing beneath it. Yeah, yeah. So that is essentially, yeah. Well, many people call them, that's a bug. No, that's actually a beetle because it's basically the front wing is all the way, solid, right? And then there are insects, and and that's this one over here. And I don't know if some of you speak German or not, but there is in German you call these things here are called Wanzen, and these are basically the bugs. And when you turn around a bug, then if it actually stays here we go. The bugs, they have a very typical characteristic because, and that's how you're able to distinguish them, is because they also have two pairs of wings, but you see that the front pair of wing here is solid over here and membranous and thin over here. So they're called heteroptera. So you see that the back part here is very membranous. Yeah, you see it's very thin, and that's a very typical characteristic of a bug. Is that the front part of the front wing is solid, and over here it's kind of divided in half. Yeah, and beetles don't have that, and that's one of the first things that basically in the identification key that students had to learn is basically to look at the wings here. But the real reason, of course, is many students were either afraid of insects or disgusted, and of course, I've never seen insects under a stereo microscope. So this was actually one of the reasons why we've done the lab as well, to kind of reconnect the students a little bit back to nature. Yeah. Dragonflies, I did not see any. Okay. We have dragonflies, but I did not see any. At that time. So that is, I'm just reading every now and then here. Yeah. So and as a matter of fact, we've also got small ones. I think this one. I have to see this one here as well. I don't know if this is. Yeah. Also, you have to refocus this. Sometimes you can also see if you have to. I'm going to do this quite brutally now. I'm just going to hold it down with my finger. Okay. And then if you're actually able to, sometimes you're actually able to lift the wings away. Yeah, and then you can actually see that there's a bottom pair of wings here as well. So that's the front pair wing. Yeah. And beneath it, that's the second pair of wing. And sometimes they're difficult to see because they're hidden beneath the front pair of wings. See? Yeah. And what I'll try to do is, I don't know how to do that. This is, I have to kind of, I want to extract those somehow and get them off and make a permanently mounted slide. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, that's something that you sometimes have to do. You have to kind of spread them apart, right? And then there are the so-called, for example, this here is a wasp that we caught. I need to, So they call it, in German, it's called a paper wasp. Basically what they have is they also have two pairs of wings, but both pairs of wings are essentially membranous and very thin. Yeah, these are then therefore called Hymenoptera. So we've got the Heteroptera, which are the bugs. We've got the Hymenoptera, which are the And then you know what I want to do maybe as well, if I don't forget. I've tried this as well. I'm gonna really try to dissect it and maybe extract the stinger. Yeah, that would also be possible. Yeah. Why am I doing this? Because actually normally we would throw the insects away, right? So I'm going to try to cut it off. And over here as well, I wonder, let me quickly check here. Is this actually, it looks like a Diptera, which only has one pair of wings, basically the flies. And what they have is they only have one pair of fully developed wings. Yeah. Some kind of a, And instead of the second pair of wing, I think it must be one of a Diptera. Instead of the second pair of wing, they have so-called halters, which are basically very reduced wings. So essentially, the idea is you can distinguish the insects based on the wings. I think this is actually a good one here. Is this the one here? Let me see. Yeah, we have to turn this guy around here. Yeah, and this is kind of one of the difficult things here is of course manipulating those insects because they are so tiny. And I'm also my vision is also not the very best one anymore. But yeah, this has always been an issue. How do you actually turn them around? And maybe we're lucky here. Yes, here we are. Yeah. And what you can see here as well, and I'm going to try to zoom in here just to show you again. It's also very typical here. Let me see. Yeah, here we go again. Let's focus. You can also see that here the front part of the wing is solid, of the front wing is solid, and the back part here is very membranous. So this is also a bug, okay? Because it has this divided, the divided front wing, so to say, yeah? So even though it kind of looks much more slender than the other bug that we looked at, right? It's still, you can see that there are certain characteristics that they all have the same. That is, the front part here is, they call it sclerotinized, so hardened, right? And the lower part here is very thin and membranous. Yeah. When is the micro manipulator coming? I gave up on it, I have to tell you. Yeah, I've been trying to 3D print a micro manipulator already, I don't know, years ago. But the problem with that is that essentially the tolerances are so small. Yeah, a micro manipulator is basically, for those of you who don't know, is a tool that you can where you can actually use joysticks or little joysticks to actually move around so that you have a very fine control. And those devices are expensive. Usually they're used for very small objects, for manipulating even individual cells. But actually, I think it would be very convenient to actually have one for also for insects. Yeah. I also, yeah. So I'm just going to start ripping out. So what about this one? Let's have a look at this guy over here. Where is it here? It's actually a nice looking one. Okay. So let's turn it around and let's see if it's a bug or a beetle. Right. It doesn't want to stay. Flip it around. Even when they become damaged, right? Then I don't know. So let's have a look now. Where is it? I just have to find it again. Look. Here it is. Ah, okay, here it is. Let's have a look. Bug or beetle. And you can, yeah, it's kind of difficult to see because it's kind of dark, but you actually might also be able to see that here the back part here of the front wing, yeah, is quite membranous. Yeah, so it also is a bug and not a beetle, I think. Yeah. So you can actually try to, maybe that's something that we can try to do is kind of try to actually, yep, hold it down here. Where is it here? Right? Kind of hold it down a little bit. If I can do that. And of course, risking that it's going to be damaged. Right? And let's put this one away, and then you can try to actually lift it. Yeah. Lift the front wing a little bit. Yeah. Ah, now we see it. See, now then the pin is kind of beneath the front wing. Yeah. And let's see if I'm able to, yeah. And you can now see again here that the back part over here, right, is transparent. Yeah. So this is, yeah, here, now we can see it again. Need to focus again. So this is also as I said already before, a bug and not a beetle, right? So that's simply, yeah, just a little bit of the most basic, yeah, distinction, because usually, yeah, in everyday use of the language, you don't distinguish them, yeah. Okay, I'm just reading this here. You can, about the 3D printer's tolerance issues. Yeah, I mean, I've got a nice 3D printer, but yeah, we're still. I'm still trying to figure out a little bit with my son on how to make the prints a little bit more reproducible. Yeah. So I do also have, just to show you. So I collected these here 2 days ago. So it's yeah, plenty of them. Some of them actually look quite nice. Maybe I'm just going to also try to. This one, for example, is quite spotted ones. I don't know what that is. I mean, the students identified them, right? But I don't know now which one they are. And then last year even, and so this one is I stored them from last year. Look at this. There are also many of them here. And the problem is when they are, how do you say, when they are a little too old, then of course they become very brittle. But last year's biodiversity was a little bit more interesting. This one over here, for example, let me turn it up again. If you just look at the front wing, you're going to see that Yeah, it's all solid all the way through. So this one is clearly a beetle right here and here. I think this is the bottom. This is a part of the second pair of wing, which is actually normally hidden beneath the front wing, which kind of also appears out here. Yeah, yeah. So what about this here? Yeah, yeah. The insects, the our entomologist who basically also caught the insects with us. Sometimes he even told me that some of the insects that he caught, he even entered into a database because he's always also involved in biodiversity studies, and he's documenting together with some other people. He's documenting now the change of insects over the years. And he can actually, yeah, so because of environmental changes, climate change, and so on, the insect biodiversity and population changes, and he's able to document that. Yeah, so he's basically, that was his kind of his job here, right? So yeah, so over here, this here also a nice one. Yeah, nice example where you can see here that it's a bug over here with the hind part being also transparent. Yeah. So this is kind of I think quite nice. Again, this is a lot of psychology here because many people are kind of disgusted a little bit by those insects. No reason to be disgusted. And that's a nice one here. Yeah, look at this. Yeah, of course, again, front wing all the way back. So this here is a beetle and not a bug. So this was basically, you can see that last year's biodiversity was actually much larger and much more interesting. Depends very much on the weather conditions. Yeah. So usually where I'm always a little bit nervous if it's very wet or if it's very windy, then of course we won't be able to find as many. So I usually have to usually go out a few days before the project to collect a couple of specimens. Yeah. Yeah. So here, this one here, it's the difficulty that I have now. I just want to show you something else here. And what I another thing that I bought, not recently, but it's also quite a long time ago already. But there are these shops because some folks out there actually collect insects for fun. I mean, I'm more into the microscopy part. I'm not so much into insect collecting. It's not that not that I don't find it interesting, but you see, I bought myself a couple of these entomological needles, and they are extremely sharp. So so this here is a regular one that I've been using, right? So yeah, it's used for sewing and so on, right? It's a regular one, and just look at in comparison here, yeah, it's significantly thinner, yeah? And yeah, so they're extremely pointed, and however, they're also a little bit flexible, as you can see here, right? And one possibility is, of course, is kind of to pin them down into some kind of an insect box. We can try to do that, but honestly, this is not going to be so easy, and I have to be really careful that I don't hurt myself. Okay, because they're and yeah, how am I going to do that? But usually it is something that can be done to actually yeah, put them into that's not how it works, to put them into position so that you can actually take nicer pictures. So, and what I'm going to do now is I've got this cork here. Yeah, I think these are called conventional. Oh, that's a ladybug. Then our entomologist says, yeah, there are about 80 different species in your in where we are. Yeah. So we can do it like this. I pinned it like this, and we have to go up now a little bit. Let's refocus. And some of them are actually, they look like ladybugs, but they're not. Yeah, so I'm not even sure about this one here. Yeah. But what we are able to see now is when you look here in the front, also something very nice is, and let's zoom in a lot. And here, that's the eye. Okay, very nice. Let's go in a little bit further. Yeah, that's the maximum magnification I can have. Yeah, and I'm going to switch on now the how do you call this, the arrow? Where is my arrow? Oh, I forgot where it is. Here it is, and of course, you already know that this is, of course, the so-called the compound eye, and you see those little dots that you see here. These are the individual, elements. Yeah, that basically pick up the light. So I kind of yeah, it looks quite quite nice. So with those stereo microscopes, you can get quite a bit done. The mouth parts here. And I would like to now try the following. Actually, I would like to, and I hope that this works. I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to pin it here at the very top. Here, I pinned it now at the very top. And let's see if I'm able to kind of separate. I have to move the insects to the side here. Let's see if I'm able to actually separate the wings apart. Normally, you would use some kind of a teasing needle. So that's the good thing now is you can also see that here at the top. I'm holding now the cork. It's a cork stopper, and then I'm going to now try to kind of separate this. Yeah. So we see that is the front wing, of course. Here. You might not even think that this is actually a wing, but it actually does qualify as a wing, even though it's not used. Yeah, it's not flapping actively. This is going to be probably a little bit difficult to mount because it's so round, right? And this here basically is the second pair of wings that we've got here. It's the second pair of wings. So, of course, what's going to happen is as I prepare them, of course, they're probably going to be damaged. I get it. This is a little bit of, how do you say, a proof of concept. Yeah. And the question is now how am I supposed to do this? I've got right now the microscope here on my desk, and I would like to start mounting this. I don't know. Maybe I'm going to try. I've never done this. I'm going to try to mount this on my. I don't know. Is this a good idea to try to mount this directly? I don't know. If I should directly mount it here. I'm going to do the following. I'm going to give it a try now. Okay. I'm going to try. I've never done this before. I'm going to try to make a permanent mount just directly here under the stereo microscope, even though probably the magnification is going to be a little bit too big here. Okay, so this is, I'm just occasionally also reading the comments. Okay, so let's try that. So I'm going to put a piece of paper here just to protect the microscope a little bit. I'm going to put a clean slide here on top. I just washed them today in the afternoon, so you're not able to see this either. And I'm now going to add a small, no, I'm not going to do this yet. I'm going to get this here prepared first. So this means I have to actually cut off the, how am I going to cut this off? Where did I put my scissors? Here they are. Yeah, I've got them in my box here. And I have a problem reaching them now. No? The scissors got stuck in the box. Let me see. Here we go. Here we go. I'm going to try to I'm going to try to do this now directly under the microscope maybe. Okay, let's move the microphone a little bit closer to me. So, yeah. Let's see if I also adjusted the microscope so that it's parfocal. So that means it's actually when you're seeing it clear and sharp, I'm also able to see it clear and sharp. Okay. Here, this is the wing here. I don't know if it's able. Normally, if the insect is very dry, it broke off. Very good. That's exactly what I wanted. Here it is. And normally, and to see, I should actually buy those. There are those special type of tweezers that specifically made for insects. Okay. So I'm going to put this down here. On here, and I'm also going to put this down here. See, it's a little too big. So here we go. I'm now going to show you. So I've got both of them here, and now I have to refocus. So they're now basically both on my microscope slide. Yeah, front wing and back wing. And now I need a second slide, and now I'm going to do the following. See, this is a little bit very big. Okay. But I'm going to now try to put would this be a good idea? Maybe just a second. Let me guess. Is this a good idea or not? Should I make this a little bit bigger maybe? It's overexposed. It's not so easy to see. Okay. Otherwise, if this doesn't work, I'm going to just do the following. I'm just going to pull out the the wings first, and then I'm going to mount it on my table. So, but let's see if you'll. Yeah, here that's pretty huge. So I'm going to apply a little bit some mounting medium here. Okay, so mounting medium number 1. Okay, now I need to somehow transfer the wing, and I'm going to use this second pair of wings, and I'm going to drop it in here. Yeah, you can see that it really likes to soak in, but sometimes it still likes to float a little bit on the surface, and it's also not completely spread apart. I just realized. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna see. I'm just going to leave it as it is, and you can try to actually push it down a little bit, or you can try to apply another small drop on top, and that's what I'm doing right now. Okay, and now it's fully submerged. Okay. There's always the other wing. Yes. Okay. And now I have a choice. Should I use the round cover glasses or should I use the square cover glasses? And I don't know. I mean, I don't know where did I even put the round ones? I think I might still have them downstairs in my drawer. Yeah. Otherwise, I'm just gonna use the square ones. Yeah, I guess I'll just use the square one. I put them somewhere. Let's have a look at this here. These are the square ones as well. Okay, I'll just take the square ones. Does not matter. And I've got cover glasses of different size. I would like to now use the correct one. Yeah. Yeah, the one I only use the nice round ones when I plan to ring. That's correct. There is no. I'm not going to be ringing them, right? So I'm just going to use here. Yeah, and I really hope that as the mounting medium spreads, that it does not push the wing to the side. Let capillary action do the work. Yeah. It looks kind of dark here a little bit, so I hope it's not kind of folded back. And what you can always try to do is the following. Give it a tiny little tap to help it spread. For your info, yeah, this is U-Pearl mounting medium, which I also bought many years ago from a shop specializing for insects. So, and what we can already see over here is the following. I did not use enough mounting medium. See, it does not, it's fairly thick, it does not spread properly. I'm just going to leave it like this in any case. Yeah. Before I started this live stream, maybe an hour before, I diluted down the mounting medium a little bit because it already became very, very thick. Yeah. So, and yeah, I added a little bit of isopropanol. Yeah. Yeah, the mounting medium. Yes, I'm going to show you. Can I hold this into the camera? Are you able to see this? No, you're not. Then let's do the following. Okay. I think I'm going to do the following. I think I'm going to. I think I'm going to. How do you say? Remove the microscope later. That's the name, U-Pearl. That's the favorite one that I like to use, and it's the standard one that is used also for insects. It's in German, and yeah. Expiry date. You wanna read the expiry date? Here, the expiry date here. 31st of January 2013. Yeah, it's that old. Yeah, and it still works. Yeah, so this is basically the fill date. Yeah, yeah. So I bought it. I bought it in just so I'm not affiliated. I bought it from this company in Germany. It's yeah, yeah. It's I ordered it from them, and basically they sent me a bottle. So this is basically a school supplies company. So what I'm going to do now, however, is I'm going to switch over to the microscope view, and let's have a look if we're lucky a little bit. Let me switch off on the microscope, and it works. works. Yes, here we go. And I'm going to now take the slide and let's have a look at the slide. And if this kind of works, then I don't know, we're going to make a couple of others as well. And it's not in focus, obviously. It's way too bright. I have to flip out this here. I have to find it. Let me quickly check. So where is it? Here it is. Oh, it's folded, unfortunately. Okay. But it doesn't look that bad, really. Okay, it's a typical sign, right? It's torn and folded. But yeah, and usually after a week or so, it starts to brighten up. But what I'm doing right now is let's go up with the magnification. You always got to be careful, folks, when you've got fresh mounting medium on the slide. That you have to be really careful that you don't touch the objective, doesn't touch it. And one of the nice things here is, of course, always the tiny little hair that you see. It's a little bit like almost like a little bit of a resolution test, also for your microscope. Yeah. I don't know how much I actually paid for it. Yeah. And I know that usually if you get those mounting media and all those fine chemicals from chemical supplies company, they're pretty expensive, and sometimes they're selling them also in quantities which are way beyond that what you probably would need, and if they even sell it to you. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, honestly, it's 25 euros. If you really want to make permanently mounted slides, it's worth it. It's gonna last a lifetime. Yeah, you only need very small amounts anyway. Yeah. But it is indeed one of my favorite mounting media. One of the reasons also is because it's fairly safe. Because many modern synthetic mounting media, they use quite aggressive solvents. Yeah. Um, Yeah, 1785 euros. That's okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just yeah. Does PVA work for insect parts? Now the thing is the following. Yes and no. The reason why for insect parts I always use UPRL is because UPRL has a very nice feature that PVA does not have, and that is that over weeks, it starts to clear the specimen. So this basically means that the things that look very dark right now, I'll put it under the microscope again next week. It's probably going to look much brighter. Yeah. So for whatever reason, UPRL makes the insect parts, which are very dark, much brighter. After a week or so. And this is a really nice effect that you have, which you do not have when you're using, for example, PVA or other mounting media. If you want to use other mounting media, then there is a method. Also, can use lactic acid or potassium hydroxide. Some people have used to clear the exoskeleton to make them more transparent, the insects, right? Sometimes for UPRL, this is not needed. Yeah. So yeah, but usually I think it's nicer to actually look at them at the lower magnification. And now I would like to try the following, and this is now where the difficulty starts. I would like to now make a mount of the front wing, yeah, of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch back again to the stereo view here. So where is it? Here it is. And this one is going to be difficult, right? Because it's not flat. So there is actually no point in actually mounting it directly. So I have to actually cut a piece off, yeah, and try it that way. So again, I have to, it's a little bit of a bad thing here. How am I gonna do this? I'm going to just take some tweezers. I'm going to do this under the microscope, maybe, so that maybe you're also able to see it. And I'm just going to try to cut a piece off, and it's probably going to fly away. I don't know. It's not quite as hard as I expected it to be, actually. You know what? I don't know. Yeah, because if it's so round, then it won't stay flat. That's kind of my concern. So maybe if I just cut it in a little bit, maybe this will make it stay flatter. I don't know. It's not very nice looking. Okay, I get it. I get it. But yeah, I'm going to leave it like here, and I'm just going to do the same thing again. Let's take a small drop. Yeah, mounting it directly under the stereo microscope is not is not the most ideal way of doing this. Here we go again. It's not centered either. Yeah, if you want to do this properly, then of course a live stream is not the most ideal. So I'm going to try. I'm picking this up now. I'm transferring it now, and here we go. Yeah, we can try to actually do the following. Maybe I can push it in. Maybe this works. Push. It's not completely flat either. There's some kind of a rim. I can see that. So here we go. The good thing about U-Pearl is that it is a little bit water tolerant. So yeah, you've seen it's a little bit soft. There is some moisture in here as well, and a little bit of moisture is okay. Other mounting media are not able to tolerate moisture. U-Pearl is able to tolerate a little bit of moisture. Ideally, what I should have done is I should have taken those insect parts and removed all of the water by putting it into alcohol, right? Either ethanol and then also isopropyl alcohol, and this removes the water completely. That's actually the normal procedure. I'm doing again a little shortcut here. Yeah, I'm going to take a cover glass. I'm just checking which one's nice because I also cleaned them. So here's a little bit smaller, and we drop it on here. Let capillary action do its job, and let's hope that the insect wing will be more or less, yeah. You can't see cells, can you? That's not a good question because the wing. The question is if the wing is actually made of cells as such, because it is mostly exoskeleton, so it's chitin. So and for this reason. Can you soak the wing casing with something to soften it so it flattens out? You know what I'm gonna do? Let's try this with the other one. I mean, I have isopropyl alcohol here and ethanol, so we can try it with that. Again, over here you can see that it's not completely flat. Yeah, there's also the danger that it's kind of being pushed. Let's push it down here a little bit. Yeah, and again, I'm going to put it under the microscope now, carefully, of course. And let's see all the air bubbles here. So, and let's have a try. Yeah, I need to. Interesting. There's still some bubbles here, but. We're gonna see how this looks like after a few days. So this is also a problem when you submerge them directly in mounting medium. Normally you should, I'll put it maybe for a few minutes into alcohol, the other one. Yeah. And then maybe if it's soaked all the way through with alcohol, maybe then it will also accept the U-Pearl mounting medium a little bit better. This one is not particularly nice looking. The insects from last year, they could be dry enough. They become very brittle when this is the case. I just wonder, however, because of the moisture that we have right now and the humidity, whether this is not also going to affect them somehow. I'm gonna give it a try. Yeah. So I'm going to now move on a little bit. Let's try another insect. What time is it? I just have to check the time every now and then a little bit. So what I have to do now is I have to store those slides horizontally. Yeah, and yeah, even if the slides are not the nicest, doesn't matter. I'm just going to, yeah, for reference purposes. So let's put them away here. And let's try one. I think this one was from last year. So let's put those wings here away. Maybe, honestly, it's easy. It would be easier for me to actually remove the microscope, but this would be another thing. So let's have a look here. Ah, this looks like a bee. I didn't know that either. This, of course, yes, interesting. Look, I can see this quite nicely here. Yeah, bees, of course, should not be caught, but sometimes you don't know what's actually in your net. But if you zoom in more, you can actually see the pollen here. Those tiny little things here, that's pollen. Yeah, here, those dots that you see here, on the leg, that's pollen. So, okay, very nice. Let's try to prepare. A bee. Okay. So I'm going to now use again a needle. Let's try it with a needle because this way I have a little bit more control. Entomological needle again. Pin. Let's do it like this. And I don't know. I wonder if I'm able to puncture the. Yep. Okay. Here we go. And let's turn it up. And on the cork. So I'm going to put it now here. Put the insects away. And let's have a look. Yeah, so that's basically seen from the front. Yeah. This is basically seeing the bee from the front. I mean, honestly, under the microscope, they look so nice and interesting. It would be a nice thing also to make some kind of a focus stack. Yeah. So let's, where's the wing? Here's a wing. Of course, a little bit out of focus then again. So I'm going to remove the ladybug and I'm going to put the bee now here on top. Here it is. Let's try to mount the bee wings. Yeah, so this means that I also have to try to separate them somehow, front and back wing. Let's see if they come off more easily. I don't know. See? Not quite as brittle as expected. So I think what I have to do here is I have to use scissors. No, or not. Yeah, but it's very thick over here. That's a little bit the problem. It's very thick over here, so I'm not quite sure if this... Here, number 1. And here, number 2. But then on the other hand, it's going to be a very, how do you say, complete wing. And usually you have to be careful that it doesn't completely fly off. Otherwise, here, now it's off. Good. Yeah, very nice. Yeah, but it's kind of thick over here. I might have to cut this off. That's gonna be these wings are a little bit larger, so this means I have to probably use a little bit more of the mounting medium. Okay, I just wonder if I should not use. I don't know. I'm gonna try it. I've not tried this before, and I don't know if it's a good idea. But what I have over, I don't know. This might be a little bit too big. I have those very large cover glasses, which are basically this size. I don't know if I should try that. I mean, definitely large enough. Yeah. I'm going to, just for experimental purposes, I'm going to try to mount now the 2 wings on using a very large cover glass. Okay, so this means a lot of mounting medium is needed. Where is the other wing? Yeah, both of them are still there. So this means that we're gonna try it again over here, like before. And yeah, I'm reading the comments. in IPA, isopropyl alcohol, when I come to actually mount them, should I soak them in distilled water? No, 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 no. You want you want the wings to be as water free as possible. Yeah. So this basically means I would not soak them. Normally, the procedure is that you actually remove all of the water by putting them first into ethyl alcohol, and now basically I blew one away, one wing away. Yeah, and then isopropyl alcohol. So I would leave it in there and then mount it directly. This is a horrible. Look at this. See this? Horrible. Oh my god, there's so many bubbles here. Okay, so how am I gonna do that? Maybe I don't know if this was a good idea or not. So I'm going to take one of those wings here from the back. I'm going to drop it directly on here. So that's wing number 1. And where's wing number 2? Yeah, great. I was talking and I blew it away. That's the problem. Let me see. I lost it. See, you should not be talking and mounting slides, because then you're blowing it away. So this means I'm gonna do the following. I'm going to put this away, and I'm going to have to extract the have to get the no. Where's the wing? Is it still here? Oh, great. No, it's here. It's here. Good. It's still here. The other wing is still here. It's still here. Here we go. We drop it in here as well. It's again a little bit out of focus. Yeah, look at those bubbles. I don't like them. So a little bit more mounting medium. And a drop on top, a drop on top. And this is not good. I think I'm worried, because when I now drop a cover glass on top, I'm kind of worried that it kind of as the mounting medium spreads, then it will actually start to also push the wing to the side. This one here is not completely submerged. So here we go. And there are plenty of bubbles. Sometimes the bubbles also disappear over time as it starts to dry. But just having fewer of them here in the first place is actually also a good thing. Yeah, I'm just going to... Again, if you want to do this, if you want to do some proper slides, you need to take your time. Yeah. This is a little bit, how do you say, just experimental what I'm doing right now. So let's give it a try, and just even though the bubbles are there, let's try it. So see, the slowly starts to spread, and up. Here's the other one. Usually, from experience, it takes several weeks for the mounting medium to completely dry. Yeah. Unfortunately, this wing is a little bit flipped, twisted. This one seems to be cleaner. And as a matter of fact, I've some years ago, if you when I mounted those wings and you take overlapping pictures, you can stitch them together, and then you get really nice, really nice images as well. Yeah. Yeah, I'm reading this heat pad. This could be maybe, yeah. But the bubbles sometimes they will also move to the side a little bit. Something like this, where you see the bubble right here in the middle of the wing. That's not so good. It has a difficulty escaping, right? Yeah, but you see that it's already too thin. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it as it is, and we're just gonna hope for the best. Yeah. So again, under the microscope. Where's the microscope view? Here it is, and way too bright. Let's do this lower magnification. You see, that's the bubble that we had before. You see, it's kind of twisted here. And there is also a book that I've seen that based on the pattern of the wings that you see, you can actually also do a little bit of insect taxonomy. So that's one wing, and here over here there must be. You see, the slide is also not the cleanest. Let me check. Here is the other one. Yeah, see, the slide is not really very nice. Yeah. How do I label the slides? That's the next thing. That's actually a good point. Normally, what I do is the following. I do a quick label first, and I think I decided to do this in any case. I usually don't add the. How do you call this? I don't have the pen here. I usually use some kind of a marker to directly quickly label the slides on the marker, and then later on, when everything's properly cured, this is when I add a sticker. And indeed, if you've actually watched some of my videos before, you know that this has always been a little bit of an issue. That if I don't label it, I tend to forget what is on here. Yeah, so yeah, so that's and we will now be how do you say, observing a little bit, or let's just remember there are some bubbles here. Let's see if next week they're still around. Yeah. Some of them might actually stay, but I've seen that sometimes as the mounting medium starts to dry, it starts to contract a little bit, and sometimes this pushes also the bubbles to the side. Let's see how stable it is. I'm gonna push on here now. Let's see. Doesn't want to move very much. Yeah. Yeah, we're just basically, it's not perfect anyway. Yeah. Do I know which one's the front and the back wing? Okay, the front wing is in this case, is the larger one, right? And you can actually also see it over here. When I go back to the stereo view here with the wasp that we have here, you can actually, but when you spread it, you can actually see that. Let's take the little needle again. Yeah. Can we try one on your coffee warmer next to see if it gets rid of the bubbles? I'm a little. I'd have to plug in the coffee warmer. I'm just afraid that if I put it on the coffee warmer, that we'll try it. But I'm kind of worried that maybe that it starts to cure the or the mounting medium might become solid very quickly. So you see, if you spread it apart, this here, the bigger one is the front wing, right? It is kind of really solid. Of course, because I'm touching the needle here. That's why. That's why it blocked it. Yeah, so this here is the front wing, the large one, and down here on the side here, put it on the side here. Behind it, you've got the smaller back wing, second pair of wing. So it's difficult to see. But you know what? I'll try because I do want to know it as well. It's always like this: if you don't know, if you have a hypothesis, so maybe warming it up is going to help it. So what I'm going to do now is the following: I'm going to pull out my coffee warmer as requested, and we're just going to make a lot of bubbles, and we're going to see if I warm it up, if this is going to make the bubbles disappear. Okay, so this is just, we're going to let's give it a try. Never tried it myself. Okay, I think that it might work or not. It might actually make the mounting medium harder much faster in any case. So let me quickly plug it in. So here I am again. Need to crawl under the table. The only problem that I have right now is the following. The problem is that you know what I'm gonna do? We've been give me a minute, please. Not longer than or 30 seconds. What I'm going to do is I'm gonna move the stereo microscope back to where it was so that I have more space here on my table. Okay, so I'm gonna do that now. So this means I need to get the so it's gonna be dark now. Just a second. So I unplugged it. I need to now also just want to move it over here to the other side. Just a second. I need to also unplug the camera. Okay, the power supply as well. And this is a heavy thing. Just a second. Up. Okay, here it is. To the other side. Now you get a full view of the microscope as well. Okay. And here we go. So now I got a little bit more space. I'll plug it in. Nevertheless, now I've got a little bit more space on my table. And I need to also plug in the just a second. Where is the other one? Here it is. I also need to plug in, of course, the lamp. But I don't know if I'll be using this now anyway. Yeah. So. Okay, here. I think we're ready to go again. So, and now I can switch back to the desk view, and it's a little, I made it a little bit darker. I have to now, I have to adjust the brightness a little bit. Okay, otherwise it's too dark. So we're ready to go again, yeah? What? Yeah, I wanted to try the following. Let's see if indeed now. By the way, now you can also see the insects much better that I have. That's actually another good reason to do that. Yeah. So that's the one from last year. That's the one from this year. This is how it looked basically. The bee and the beetle, and I want to now try the following. Let's make a lot of bubbles here on the slide. And let's see if by warming it up, those bubbles actually start popping. Because if this were really possible, then this would of course be... So here it is, in just a second. So I'm making a lot of bubbles. Actually, it's kind of funny. It seems to actually take some of the bubbles away again. But there are now a few bubbles. Let's have a look. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so that's now under the stereo microscope. You see there are plenty of bubbles. So let's check quickly if what happens if I put it on my coffee warmer 65 degrees. If this actually causes some of the bubbles. They're moving towards the center and they are indeed, look at this. Isn't this nice? Do you actually see that this starts to actually move towards the center? It's starting to boil a little bit. I wonder. Let's quickly check it again under the stereo microscope. No, but they do seem to be disappearing. Are they disappearing? Maybe. What happens now if we cool it? Too hot. It seems too hot. 65 is way too hot. But let's quickly have a look under the stereo microscope in any case. And look. Indeed. Okay. Smaller bubbles now. That this and maybe as it cools down, maybe they're gonna start shrinking again. Oh, that's actually quite nice. Now my only concern is that it started to dry out now a little bit. That's my only concern. So let's see. Yeah. Let's try the following now. I'm going to now. Where's the desk view? I'm going to do this now very brutally now, and I'm going to do this very quick. I'm going to just clip off a wing here. I don't see anything. I need to put on my reading glasses. Let's see here if this is. I have to grab it. This is very, how do you say, unprofessional. I clipped off a leg. Isn't this nice? Here's a part of the wing. You don't see where I'm putting it in. So let's put it in here. Yeah, it does. How do you say? It does feel a little bit more solid because it evaporated. But it's maybe okay. I don't know. It doesn't cover it completely. Of course, if I add now another drop of mounting medium on top. So I think the thing that we can learn maybe from this is maybe diluting it down a little bit with some alcohol. Yeah. See, it's already too thick. It might have been a little bit too hot. Let's see if we can carefully small drop, maybe without bubbles. Okay, and a cover glass. Okay, yeah. So, and I do see a tiny. Let's see. Yeah, so that's basically a lot. Yeah, see, that's another interesting one. It doesn't because of the heat. It's already pretty solid. But you know why this is also it doesn't go completely flat anymore. But the interesting thing is this actually could mean that you can use actually this hot coffee warmer also to speed up maybe the drying process, because normally, as I said, it takes around 6 weeks or so for this to dry at room temperature. But maybe if we if we warm it up, we can maybe reduce that time. It doesn't matter. I'm going to have a look now anyway. So that's the one from before. Okay. about bubbles. It is still there. Yeah. But okay. Yeah, I don't know if they were. I don't know if they were there already at the beginning, or if basically I added them later on. Yeah, vacuum chamber definitely. But then again, experience has shown that some of these bubbles actually do disappear as the mounting medium starts to dry. Yeah. And as always, it's yeah. Maybe if I thin it down a little bit more, the mounting medium, maybe then this is yeah, also going to be a little bit less foamy in that sense. Yeah. Okay. I'm always with one eye reading the comments section just for your info. So what time is it now? Okay, I don't know. Let's give it a last try. I want to do the following just for the fun of it. So I mean, I'll remember, of course, that these are basically the wasp. No, the bee. A last try would be. Let's try the how do you say? Let me have a look here. Maybe the wing of a not of a beetle, but of a bug. So I have to also carefully clip the wings off. Let me see, let me turn the lights on here. Of course, now you've got the reflection in here. Let's see. I think this might be one here. I don't know. So there was a question, what are useful dissection tools? And I have to be honest with you, it really depends what you want to dissect. Yeah, no, I dropped it. I'm going to use another needle here because needles make it easier. Normally for regular dissection, we always scissors. If you want to, yeah. I found scissors and tweezers the most useful ones, and now you got to be really, really careful that I don't see the legs break off even. So let's pin it down here. So, and let's try to lift this wing here. Okay. And let's see if it goes off easily. I hope so, otherwise I'm just going to use my scissors again. Here it went off nicely. Okay. Again, front and back wing went off nicely. Okay. And let's give it a try. This time without the heat, the coffee warmer. I'm just going to keep it simple and easy. See, I think it's much easier like this if you are able to see the whole microscope slide. I'm going to try something. I'm going to try something just for the fun of it. Where is this? Here, I've got here. This is a little bit of a little bit of isopropyl alcohol. Normally I use ethanol. Why did we obtain isopropanol? Because we needed to clean for my 3D printer. But we're going to now do the following. I'm just going to use it now, and I'm just going to drop it now into the isopropyl alcohol a little bit. And I'm going to put it now on the slide. And the other one as well. And this way I hope that the liquid kind of soaks up into all of the spaces, hopefully pushing out any air. Okay. Okay, so that's kind of the idea. And I have no idea if this actually works or not. I'm going to now add a little bit of mounting a medium directly on top. Okay. Plus a cover glass. So you see, I mean, I think by now you already understand what I like to do. It's all trial and error. Yeah, solvents is, yeah, I totally agree with you. You always got to be careful with solvents. So here we go. Yeah, it does spread much nicer. Let's see if this actually, yeah, how this looks like. Let's remove this here again. Here again. I need the other, yeah. It's the front wing. I mean, there are fewer bubbles. Do you see that? That's the back wing. It's folded. There's a big bubble over here. Yeah. So yeah, this is let's focus this a little bit here. That's nice. A little bit of dirt as well, but generally it's yeah. Balsa styrofoam. Styrofoam is if you want to use some kind of a support for for thin sheets of balsa wood. Yep. Look, okay, so that is the front wing. Okay, over here. And now we can actually see it quite nicely. And here, look, the lower part of the front wing is very transparent here, right? So this is that's a bug. right? Because so this is very membranous here and transparent. Yeah. Can you make some microbiology on what we can see on this slides? Well, what we see here is basically the front wing and the hind wing and the second pair, this back wing of a bug. Okay, and if you watched, I don't know if you joined in at the beginning of the live stream. This is when I kind of mentioned that bugs are characterized by essentially a wing which is divided, where the front part is hard, yeah, and intransparent and thicker, and the back part over here is very transparent and membranous. And this is a typical characteristic of a bug. And the hind wing, the second pair of wing, that's over here, that's always very transparent. Yeah. You see over here that it's also a little bit folded. Generally, yeah, this round thing, that is a big bubble, but generally the bubbles are much, how do you say, much smaller. So you're talking about balsa wood. For what I haven't been following along now. Okay, so basically for pinning the insects. Yeah, balsa wood. I used to work a lot with balsa wood because when I was much smaller, I used to make model airplanes. So balsa wood was very useful for that. It's a very soft and a very light wood. Yeah. Yeah. So, and thinking about this, what I might actually do is I'm going to probably get myself some insect boxes to actually store the insects. Yeah. Yeah, it's classed as a hardwood. And balsa wood is also quite. I've not tried this yet. Maybe I have to look into the cellar where to find some parts. But balsa wood is very easy to cut, so you should be able to see the wood structure quite nicely. Yeah. Yeah. What for we need microscope for that slides? I am a little bit confused by the question. Okay. Yeah. So again here the front wing. Yeah. And for me, always fascinating that even though insects are so small, but if you actually zoom in, the complexity is incredible. Yeah. So over here, there are plenty of hair. Yes, this is an interesting thing. The hair structure, it does affect airflow. It's of course, and those hair structures, what they do is they cause a turbulence, and apparently, because it's this also creates more air resistance, obviously. However, the interesting thing is that for insects, that the aerodynamics of insects is not really comparable to the aerodynamics of larger, for example, birds and so on. Because for insects, it has to do, it's so-called the Reynolds number. Is when an insect flies through the air, and the smaller the object, then for them the air is much thicker. So it's almost like floating through honey or through liquid. Right. So for this reason, the insects essentially are able to fly. Also, even though their basically wing area is not quite as large, because for them, kind of going through the air is almost like like if we were going to go through water or through honey. So it does not. They do not see the air as a gas, but more as a liquid. Yeah. Yeah. So. I use a dimmer control. Ah, I see. Well, I have my coffee warmer here has kind of a digital. You can actually tap it to adjust the temperature. The only problem with that is that it's not very precise and it always gets a little too hot. Yeah. Yeah, so, and over here again, let's something I've not done yet. I just want to look at this here also at much higher magnification here. Let's see. Here they're also here, but they're much. Let me see. Oh, they're much smaller. Much smaller. Yeah. Okay. Hard parts and soft parts we can see without a microscope. What can we see more with a microscope? For example, with a microscope, we are able to see, just show you over here, the detailed structures, like for example, those here. We cannot see those here. Let me put this away again. let's see the natural colors. We cannot see those here quite as nicely without a microscope. And I go back over here to this one here. This was the B, because also for insect identification, but this is more advanced already. But there's this one book that I've read once, which is, but it really goes into a lot of detail. Basically, the patterns, just let me go again here, lower magnification. You see over here, those patterns that you see here, yeah. Basically, they are also used to identify different insects. Yeah, and they actually have a numbering system for those. They call them cells. Obviously, they're not cells, right? But those basically areas here that you have over here basically are also used or can also be used for insect identification. Yeah. So I don't know if I don't even know if we're able to see that, but let's go in all the way here. With to the maximum magnification that we can have. And then I'm going to call it quits, I have to tell you, because it's already over 1 hour. And I don't know, I don't know if we're actually able to see the individual cells here. So that is now 60 times. So that's the maximum that I'm willing to go now. And what we're able to see now is, of course, that those here are three-dimensional. That's why I want to focus. You see that it's not possible to get them all into the focus at the same time. Yeah. Yeah. So quite nice. Yeah, and yeah. I can also, I don't know if this also has some kind of structural reasons. Yeah. But you can, it's quite interesting to see here that the wing as such is completely transparent. It's only the how do you say, those tiny hair that we're able to see here. And here is a huge, with the front edge here. Yeah. Yeah, so the hair also reduce the acoustics useful for avoiding predators because of the rapid flapping of the wings, that this causes some kind of a sound. Of course, we know it from a mosquito. And interesting, I didn't know that. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. By the way, look, another thing I just want to show you, a little bit of an artifact. I'm now using the high magnification 60 times, and look what happens when I focus. You can actually see that it's kind of moving. So what happens is that the objective actually presses down on the cover glass. Yeah. And as a focus, it presses down, and this causes the mounting medium to move around a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. Right now, right now I'm using my normal biological microscope. Okay. Yeah, I would not be able to see these details. Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to move it away again, so to give it a little bit more space. Okay, people, I think yeah, here again a bubble. What I'll be doing is I'll be checking back. I'll keep, of course, those slides. I'll be checking again next week, and we're gonna have a look on how the slides have changed over time, basically concerning transparency and also concerning the bubbles. But yeah, it will take a couple of weeks to completely dry. Yeah, so it's but maybe the coffee warmer can also speed it up a little bit. But generally, I want to give it the time to actually dry, because I read somewhere, and kind of makes sense. It does take some time for the mounting medium actually also to so-called infiltrate. That's how they call it, to actually move into the tissue of the specimen and get fully soaked up by it. And this takes some time. And apparently this is important also for long-term preservation of the specimen. So mounting media that dry very quickly, sometimes essentially the specimen is not fully, how do you say, submerged in the mounting medium. There's some tiny spaces where the mounting medium did not reach it yet. And by giving it enough time for drying, you're actually also giving it more time to actually soak up the mounting medium. Okay, so but I'm going to call it a day today, and yeah, hope you found it interesting. For me, this just last comment. This was also a little bit experimental. I've not basically. I mean, some months ago I've tried it very briefly, but I've essentially. It was also a little bit experimental for me today. Yeah, and I'm kind of glad that it kind of worked a little bit. Yeah, I mean, you guys get the idea. Hope you like the video. Hope it also motivates you to try to pick it up. And if some of you don't have the U-Pearl mounting medium, then please try it with PVA glue or something, and then you can also report back, okay, and on how well this actually works. Okay. I'm gonna call it a day. I'm gonna keep the insects. I just decided now I'm not gonna throw them out yet because I think there's still plenty of preparations that I can do. But I wish you a nice weekend. Okay. Happy microbe hunting and hope to see you again next week. Okay. Bye bye.